In the dimly lit corridors of Sterling Tower, where shadows danced like whispers of forgotten dreams, a scream pierced the silence. It wasn't the cry of a victim in peril, but the raw, unfiltered anguish of a man who had everything, except peace. Victor Sterling, the billionaire tycoon whose name alone sent shivers down the spines of Wall Street executives, clutched his chest as he collapsed against the cold marble wall. Employees scattered like leaves in a storm, too terrified to approach. But then, from the shadows, emerged a figure no one noticed before, the new janitor, mop in hand, eyes wide with quiet determination. Little did anyone know, this single dad was about to rewrite the rules of fear and fortune. If that opening hooked you, stick around because this story of courage, heartbreak, and unexpected heroism will leave you inspired. Hit that like button if you've ever felt invisible in a world of giants, and subscribe to the channel for more tales that remind us heroes come in all forms. Now, let's dive in. Victor Sterling was a legend forged in the fires of ambition. At 52, he helmed Sterling Enterprises, a conglomerate that swallowed competitors whole, from tech startups to real estate empires. His office on the 80th floor overlooked the city like a throne room, but his presence was a storm cloud that darkened every floor below. Employees whispered about his tirades, how he'd fire someone for a misplaced comma in a report, or reduce a manager to tears over a delayed coffee. "He's a monster," they'd say in hushed tones during lunch breaks, eyes darting as if he could hear through the walls. No one dared challenge him, fear was the currency of his kingdom. Enter Jack Harlan, the new janitor. At 38, Jack was a man rebuilt from the ruins of loss. 3 years earlier, his wife, Emily, had been taken by a sudden illness, a rare cancer that doctors called unlucky. Left alone with their 5-year-old daughter, Lily, Jack traded his desk job as an accountant for whatever paid the bills. Nights were spent scrubbing floors in office buildings, days wrestling with daycare costs and Lily's endless questions about mommy. "Why doesn't she come back, Daddy?" Lily would ask, her big blue eyes mirroring Emily's. Jack's heart broke anew each time, but he smiled through it, whispering stories of angels watching over them. Jack's first day at Sterling Tower was unremarkable. He pushed his cart through the echoing halls after hours, the building's opulence a stark contrast to his modest apartment. Marble floors gleamed under fluorescent lights, and abstract art worth millions hung on walls that felt colder than ice. He overheard snippets of gossip, the billionaire's latest outburst, how he'd threatened to shut down an entire department over budget overruns. Jack shook his head. He'd seen enough corporate cruelty in his old life to know it stemmed from something deeper, like a wound that never healed. But Jack wasn't there to judge. He was there to work, to provide for Lily. She was his world now, a bundle of energy with curly hair and a laugh that could melt the hardest heart. Mornings were rushed, dropping her at kindergarten, promising ice cream if she behaved. Evenings, he'd read her bedtime stories about brave knights and magical forests, all while suppressing the exhaustion that clawed at him. Single parenthood was a battlefield, with challenges like mounting medical bills from Emily's treatment still haunting his finances. Jack juggled 2 jobs, but the janitor gig at Sterling paid better, even if it meant starting at midnight. One evening, as Jack mopped the executive lounge, he noticed something odd. The lights in Victor's office were still on, well past 10 p.m. Peeking through the glass doors, he saw the billionaire slumped over his desk, papers scattered like fallen soldiers. Victor's face was pale, beads of sweat trickling down his forehead. Jack hesitated. Protocol said janitors didn't interact with executives, but instinct kicked in. He knocked softly. "Mr. Sterling? You all right in there?" Victor looked up, his steel-gray eyes narrowing. "Who the hell are you?" "Jack Harlan, sir. New janitor. You look like you could use some water." Victor waved him off, but his hand trembled. "Get out. I don't need help from the help." Jack nodded and backed away, but as he turned, he heard a thud. Rushing back, he found Victor on the floor, gasping for air. Panic surged through Jack, This wasn't just fatigue, it looked like a heart attack. Without thinking, he dropped to his knees, checking for a pulse. Steady but weak. He dialed 911, his voice calm despite the adrenaline. "We need an ambulance at Sterling Tower. Possible cardiac arrest." While waiting, Jack loosened Victor's tie, elevating his legs as he'd learned from a first aid course years ago. "Hang in there, sir. Help's coming." Paramedics arrived in minutes, stabilizing Victor and rushing him to the hospital. Jack stayed behind, cleaning up the mess, his mind racing. What if he'd walked away? The building was empty, Victor could have died alone. The next day, the office buzzed with rumors. "The boss had a scare last night," whispered Sarah, a mid-level accountant. "Heard the janitor saved him." Eyes turned to Jack as he emptied trash bins, but he kept his head down, focused on his tasks. He wasn't seeking praise, he had Lily to pick up soon. Victor returned a week later, bandaged but unbroken. Doctors had diagnosed a severe anxiety attack mimicking a heart episode, triggered by years of stress. In his first meeting, he barked orders as usual, but something had shifted. He summoned Jack to his office. "You," Victor said, pointing a finger. "The janitor. Why'd you help me?" Jack shrugged, standing awkwardly in his uniform. "Couldn't just leave you there, sir. Anyone would have done the same. No one else did." Victor's voice cracked slightly, a rare vulnerability. "They all fear me. Why don't you?" "I've got bigger fears," Jack replied honestly. "Like raising my daughter alone. Losing my wife, that puts things in perspective." Victor leaned back, studying him. For the first time in years, he saw not an employee, but a person. "Sit down. Tell me about her." Hesitant at first, Jack shared his story, the joy of marriage, the devastation of loss, the daily grind of single fatherhood. Victor listened, his usual scowl softening. Unbeknownst to Jack, Victor had his own ghosts. His wife had left him a decade ago, tired of his obsession with work. His children were estranged, viewing him as a wallet, not a father. Success had isolated him, turning empathy into a liability. That conversation sparked an unlikely alliance. Victor, moved by Jack's quiet strength, began small changes. He approved flexible hours for parents in the company, citing efficiency gains. Whispers turned to surprise as layoffs halted, and wellness programs emerged. But challenges loomed. Jack's biggest hurdle came when Lily fell ill. A persistent fever turned into pneumonia, landing her in the hospital. Bills piled up, insurance covering only so much. Jack worked double shifts, but sleep evaded him, worry gnawing at his soul. One night, mopping floors with red-rimmed eyes, he confided in a coworker. Victor overheard. The next day, he called Jack in. "I know about your daughter. Take the time off. Paid." Jack blinked. "Sir, I can't." "You can. And the medical costs?" "Covered. Consider it an investment in loyalty." Tears welled in Jack's eyes. "Why?" "Because you reminded me what matters," Victor admitted. "I built this empire alone, but it's empty. You fight for someone, that's real power." As Lily recovered, bounding back with her infectious energy, Jack faced another trial, skepticism from colleagues. "He's using you," some said. "Sterling doesn't change." Jack doubted too, especially when Victor relapsed into old habits during a merger crisis, yelling at a team until one quit. Confronting Victor, Jack said, "Sir, respect isn't fear. It's earned through kindness." Victor paused, then nodded. "You're right. Help me fix this." Together, they navigated reforms. Victor attended therapy, mending family ties. Jack became an unofficial advisor, his relatability bridging gaps. Challenges arose, board members resisted changes, calling them soft. A leak to the press painted Victor as weak, stock-dipping. But Jack's story, shared anonymously, inspired employees to rally. In a pivotal board meeting, Victor stood firm. Profit without people is pointless. I've learned that from a man who cleans our floors but sees our souls. The resolution came in waves. The company thrived under humane policies, profits soaring as morale boosted productivity. Victor reconciled with his kids, hosting family dinners. Jack, with financial stability, pursued night classes, dreaming of accounting again, but with heart. One evening, as Jack tucked Lily in, she asked, "Daddy, are you a hero?" He smiled. "No, sweetie. Just someone who stepped in when needed." The story spread beyond the tower. Employees no longer feared Victor, they respected him. Jack's quiet act rippled, proving one person's courage can thaw the coldest heart. And there you have it, a tale of fear conquered by compassion. If this moved you, smash that like button, subscribe for more inspiring stories, and share how you've made a difference in the comments. Remember, in a world of giants, it's the everyday heroes who truly change everything.